Payton Pritchard, Derrick White shoot the Celtics past the Detroit Pistons. Jaylen Brown was awesome despite not putting up big counting numbers. It looked easy, but it's not really. What the Celtics did was very difficult, and I'll explain why right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I got you covered every Monday through Friday with a free podcast dropped directly to your device wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, share your thoughts on the Boston Celtics and a win over the Detroit Pistons. What did you think? What do you think about what I've got to say? Let me know in the comment section. I'm John Karalis. I have been covering the Celtics for about 20 years. Doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal and as the author of Built Different. Orders are rolling in. So thankful for all the people who are going to johnkaralis.com and clicking on the store, buying this book. $30 in the United States. $30 gets this personalized, signed, and shipped to your door. And still time to get it in time for Christmas. So if you got a Celtics fan in your life that you want to give this as a gift to, go for it. johnkaralis.com. $30 gets you the book. Personalized, signed, and delivered. Celtics get the win. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are available now for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. The Celtics are the gold standard of the NBA, and they got this win over the Detroit Pistons, 123-99. I'll talk about the individuals in a little while. Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Luke Kornett, who I think is an unsung hero in this game. I want to start with the big story, the big picture. And it's funny, after the game, I'm texting with Tom Westerholm, and I got to give him full credit for this. He said, watching the Celtics is like Law and Order. Like, yeah, what do you mean? The cops got their guy? The prosecutors nailed the prosecution. They got their guy and he's going away? Amazing. These are the best cops ever. This is the best lawyers ever, best DA ever. Like, yeah, they always end up winning. It's always the same story. It's basically find your way, get where you need to go, close the door. Very rarely is there any sort of deviation from this track. I understand. I railed against why people say the Celtics are boring, but I understand that there's no new storyline to latch onto. There's nothing spicy. There's nothing. I was listening on my way home to Locked On Pistons, and oh my God, Kuka Hill is going nuts. But I mean, obviously the Pistons are 10-16. They are struggling mightily, and this was not a good game for them at all. It started out ugly. It started out, I tweeted out the Commodores brick house. I said, this is the TD Garden here. It's a brick house. Everybody's missing everything. Both teams started out shooting like 18%. The only difference here is the Celtics turned it around and started hitting shots and ended up shooting 51% from the field. But in the first quarter, they were 42%, 11 of 26, and that's after they got hot. The Pistons were 29.5% in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Pistons and Celtics started to hit shots. In the second half, the Celtics really took off, hitting 58.5% of their shots, 11 of 22 from three in the second half. Pistons, the box score story of this game, the Celtics hit 20 of 48 from three. The Pistons hit 7 of 37 from three. My favorite number from this game, the Pistons hit 7 of 37 from three. Payton Pritchard was 7 of 15 from three. Derrick White was 7 of 12 from three. So when you get two guys from the other team matching your three-point output, you are in trouble, buddy. And Pistons just Remember the last week when the Celtics played the Pistons, they were hitting shots. They were hitting threes, and that's why they kept it close. But in this one, it just was a steady march. The Celtics and Pistons went back and forth. A few lead changes in the first quarter. Second quarter, halfway through the second quarter, 4-point game. And the Celtics go on this, I'm going to say 22-9 run, because I won't count the Cade Cunningham layup. 22-9 run sounds better than 22-11. They closed the second quarter 22-11. I'm going to say 22-9 run, just because I like that better. That broke the game open, and that was it. My first player that I want to acknowledge is Luke Kornett, because at the end of the first quarter, the Celtics came out. The whole thing was a little chaotic. It was a little frenzied. It was a little nuts. We almost got some really cool highlights out of it. Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis almost connecting on a double alley-oop. It still ended in a Porzingis dunk, but Porzingis getting the ball, a lob to Jaylen, a lob back to Porzingis. The dunk ended up getting blocked, but then the ball got back to him and he finished it. But that would have been a super cool highlight. But Luke Kornett came in and things settled down. He scored 8 points at the end of the first quarter. It just was a little bit of I don't know why he was the one that calmed things down, but he was. And after that, Celtics just started to, that's where the march happened. The boots just boom, 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 boom. On Boston Sports Journal, I compared it to the high tide just overtaking a sandcastle. It was there. The tide rolls in, and slowly it starts to wear away at it. And then the next big wave comes in and knocks part of it down. And before you know it, the whole thing is covered and you would not even know it existed. The Pistons had their chances in the first quarter. The Celtics just kept going. That first little trickle of water, you started to see the little cracks in Detroit. You started to see that they had nothing in this game. Then in the second quarter, the water started to get closer and closer. The big wave hit halfway through the second quarter where the Celtics went on that run. And the third and the fourth quarter was just flooding and overtaking the Pistons. Pistons had no shot in the second half. So how does that happen? I mean, shout out to Luke Kornett for being kind of like that pivot point. But honestly, what happened with this Celtics team? I'm going to fold Jaylen Brown into this conversation about being unselfish. But basically, Joe Mazzulla said after the game that there are egos. The Celtics have egos. And he said, it's important to know that we have egos because we're keeping them in the right place. And he wants people to understand that the Celtics, like any other NBA team, are full of super confident guys that believe incredibly highly of themselves. And so their egos are big. Of course they are. Every NBA player's ego is huge. But the Celtics, and the difference between them and a lot of other teams, is they put that aside. That's why Joe Mazzulla made sure he said, we have egos. You got to know that we have egos. It's because he wants everybody to know that for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of what the Celtics need to accomplish, Jaylen Brown, Payton Pritchard, Jayson Tatum, when he plays, he didn't play in this game. These guys are all putting their egos aside to continue making the right plays. These guys are putting their own personal best interests aside to make sure that the Celtics are playing a style that makes the most sense for what they need to accomplish. And so in this particular game, it means Jaylen Brown played the way that he did, even when he had opportunities to try to pump up his own numbers. That's not what he was about in this game. And that's why to spend a lot of time talking about Jaylen Brown. I'll continue that. I'll continue this conversation about the Celtics. It's Celtics culture. I know we talk a lot about Heat culture in the NBA. They're not the only ones who have a culture. This is Celtics culture. I'm going to continue this conversation when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. If you're on that Locked On Celtics audio feed, you'll notice two podcasts, Locked On Celtics, this one, and the postcast with Steve Lennox, which he does right after the games. So when you see the two podcasts on the audio feed, that's what you got. One immediately after the game. So when the game is over, go to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube page. Steve goes live on the YouTube page, and then that audio comes onto this audio feed. Then at that time, while he's talking, I am talking to Joe Mazzulla and Payton Pritchard and Kristaps Porzingis today. And who else was it? That was it. Pritchard, Mazzulla, and Porzingis. And now I'm here with my own podcast with the added insight. I'm there, all of that stuff. You get it. The video for this video obviously is on the Locked On Celtics feed. That doesn't change. Let's get back to the conversation here. And what I'm talking about is Celtics culture. That, and I know people probably don't want to call it Celtics culture, but that's what it is. Every teams are allowed to have their own cultures. And you don't have to, as I wrote on Boston Sports Journal, you don't have to write Celtics culture across their chest because they've already taken it to heart. You don't need to write a manifesto of Celtics culture on the floor because that Celtics culture has already been hanging in the rafters for a long time. This is a continuation of that same Celtics culture. And Mazzulla has the full buy-in. Everybody on the team is bought in, has been bought in. That's why they won a championship last year. And if it's possible, they're even more fully bought in this year, right? Because at least this year, they have been convinced it works. Last year, there was the giving him a whole lot of trust. There was like, all right, Joe, if you say so, yeah, I get it. Killer whales and all that stuff. All right, let's see how it goes. And they won. So now it's not, let's see how it goes. Now it's like, almost like a salute. Yes, sir. That's it. It works. We know it works. So let's all buy in. And guess what? Playing that way got Jaylen Brown Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He got obviously he's got the money. He's building his own shoe company. All of that stuff. Like he's been rewarded by playing the right way. You get rewarded by playing this way. And he was rewarded. I think he was great. And the stats, the box score, you look at it and you're like, 27 for Pritchard, 23 for Derrick White, 19 for Porzingis, 14 for Jaylen Brown. What happened there? No, plus 30, game high, plus 30 in just under 30 minutes. Imagine outscoring a team by a point every minute a player is on the floor. It's hard to do. Maybe the Denver Nuggets can do it. Maybe that's the only one that can do it. But Jaylen Brown, plus 30, scoring 14 points, taking only 12 shots, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. None of these counting stats jump off the page. But watching the game, he was in total control of this game. I think Jaylen, especially in the first half, where he scores 4 points in the first half, He was passing, moving the ball, committed to drawing the defense. And I've never seen Jaylen get as deep as he did in the paint and pass out to the perimeter quite like he did in this game. You'll see it every once in a while, but he had one right away. It was early in the game where he drove down the right side and he threw a wraparound pass straight up the middle of the paint to Porzingis at the top of the key. And he threw that pass, and I was like, oh, damn, that was nice. And he probably did something along those lines, 3-4 more times? I just don't recall a game. Maybe there is one, but I don't recall seeing that kind of passing from Jaylen in a single game. And this is like the benefit of being like my job. You watch and watch and watch and watch, and like you could almost lay every game on top of one another. And every once in a while you'll see like something sticking through and you're like, wait a second, this isn't normal. This isn't what we usually see. It's, picture your white noise machine. If you listen to white noise when you go to sleep, and then in the middle of the white noise, there's like a bird singing. And you're like, what is that? There's some other noise. There's something else that cuts through that's so different. Like that's what this was for me, for Jaylen Brown. This was not the typical Jaylen Brown, even in his games where he focuses on distribution, even compared to the game last week where I was raving about Jaylen Brown and his passing against the Pistons. This one felt really good. This one felt like, once again, it's a new season, and I'm talking about something that I haven't seen Jaylen Brown do. This is why I freely, fully admit that, you go back at this point 4 or 5 years of me doing this podcast. Started this podcast in 2016 or so. So I've been doing it for like 8 years. Oh my God. You go back like 4 or 5 years, and I had a very different tone about Jaylen Brown, thinking he had reached a certain plateau, thinking that he had reached a certain limit. And then after that, he just kept busting through, and I absolutely stopped putting him in a box. And here we are again. It's 2024. It's Friday the 13th in 2024. December, Christmas is just less than a couple weeks away. And I'm talking about Jaylen Brown doing stuff I have not ever seen him do. That is just incredible development, incredible work ethic. I can't say enough about the guy. I've never been more thrilled to be wrong about a player. And I'm glad I was wrong back then. It would have sucked if that's all he became, was a 3-and-D guy. But he's so much more. Anyway, in this game, look, 6 assists. When we get to secondary assists, I'm willing to bet that he might have double. He might have 6 secondary assists on top of it. So I thought he was fantastic. Now, after he was as fantastic as he was, and by the way, the defense, let me give the defense proper credit. The highlight of the night for me with him was in the second quarter, 4 and change to go, I think. Celtics are starting to they're in the middle of that run, that 22-9 run that I'm talking about. And Celtics miss. Pistons are trying to kick it ahead. Jaylen laying in wait. Boom, breaks, gets the steal, has momentum going to the hoop. Porzingis is kind of going towards the hoop with him. And Jaylen, just aware of the floor, has Drew Holiday. And it's like, okay, no problem. I'm just going to dribble towards the middle of the floor, calm, just relaxed. And then behind the back, boom, behind the back bounce pass, Drew Holiday, three-pointer. That play epitomized the night for Jaylen. Spectacular play, but calm, collected, realizing that the first quarter was a little too frantic. They were playing super fast, and it wasn't working exactly the way they wanted it to. So he slowed it down a little bit, got back under control, made the right play, the right pass, and Holiday hits the three-pointer. Wide open, no one even close. Beautiful, beautiful game from Jaylen Brown, and that was, I can't say enough. But Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, Kristaps Porzingis were all big scorers. Payton and Derrick just bombing away from three. We'll talk about their nights when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Go ahead over to FanDuel, sign up, become that new customer that we keep talking about. Place your $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Celtics were favored by 11.5. I'm normally double-digit spreads. I generally stay away from them because it's hard to cover big spreads like that, but Celtics, plenty. All that and then some. If you had put $5 on the Celtics, you would have gotten $150 in bonus bets. So go to FanDuel. They give you everything you need to place live bets. It's all in one place. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, the latest stats, the play-by-play, and all that, plus more, are on the same page where you place your bets. So go to FanDuel.com today to sign up. When you do sign up, you'll see that they have a place for you to set your limit, set a budget. Make sure you're using that tool so you don't get out of control because you just want to spend whatever you're going to spend, like your normal disposable income. Set your limits, set your budget, gamble responsibly. Gambling can be fun, but do it responsibly. Then if you make your first $5 bet and you win, you can have some fun with $150 in bonus bets. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listener today. Make sure you are subscribed to the new Locked On Celtics newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. Go to LockedOnDaily.com. Click on the Locked On Celtics logo. Sign up. You'll get a daily newsletter Monday through Friday directly to your inbox with Celtics coverage, NBA coverage, fantasy coverage, links to the big stories around the Celtics. It's all there in your inbox Monday through Friday at LockedOnDaily.com. So the real, like I said before, statistical story is the three-point shooting. And congratulations to Payton Pritchard for becoming the 10th player in Celtics history to get to 500 three-pointers. He's got a long way to go to get to the top of the list, but the way he's going right now, he might get there this season. He might double it this season. I think he's on pace for more than 300 three-pointers. He's incredible. Payton Pritchard just finds these spots to shoot. They're often like 30 feet away. He spreads the floor, spaces it incredibly. One of his three-pointers came from the little green box, the TD Bank logo on the floor. That's very far away. He took one literally from the hash mark, which is 30 plus feet away. He's so dangerous from anywhere on the floor that teams have to cover him and teams have to pay attention to him. And because now they're paying attention to him, think about, this is Payton Pritchard. Think about all the other players he's on the floor with. And he's out there drawing attention. People are afraid of him. So you have to go guard him, and you have to guard him out to 30 feet. So Pritchard, after the game, was explaining, he's like, yeah, I love doing it because it makes the read so much easier. If it's just me and this person, I can tell, do I have space to shoot? Then I'm going to shoot. If I have space to drive, I'll drive. And he's a great ball handler, so he can get by. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a man advantage. You've got a quick 5-on-4, maybe a 3-on-2 somewhere, or a 2-on-1. And that's the advantage that Joe Mazzulla is trying to create. So Pritchard just hammering Pistons defense. The Pistons I know are not good. But this is what I was saying before. The discipline, the unselfishness. Why is it so... It looks easy, but why is it so hard, like I said at the top of the show? Because this attention to details, putting your ego aside and saying, I'm going to make the right play no matter how I'm feeling. Pritchard out there feeling it. 7 of 15 from 3, right? 46.7%. Keep shooting, right? No, 10 assists on the night for Pritchard. 27 points, 10 assists. Plus 22 off the bench. Incredible night for Pritchard. Put that ego aside, make the right play. It doesn't matter how many shots I've hit, he says. It doesn't matter how many shots I've hit. If the next right play is to pass, I'm passing. He is as disciplined a player as I've ever seen. Whatever the next right play is. Okay, every once in a while, maybe every once in a while, there's a little heat check somewhere, right? That's the flow of the game, whatever. I don't care. He is as disciplined as it gets in the NBA. Doesn't force things, makes the right play 99.9% of the time. Incredible. And in this one, 27 points, 10 assists. Derrick White, 7 of 12 shooting, 58.3% from 3. 7 of 13 overall. 23 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block, 2 rebounds. Do everything. Do everything, Derrick White. Just incredible. And after a stretch where he was a 5 of 25 over his last 3 games, to come in and have a 7 for 12, that's nice. I know that these guys have ultimate confidence, but for Drew Holiday to go 2 of 4 from 3 and Derrick White to go 7 of 12, to have that feeling, that's an important feeling to have. To have that, like, okay, it feels good. No matter how confident you are, and they will sit there and stare me in the face and be like, I know I'm going to hit shots. Like, yeah, we know you're going to hit shots too, but probably feels good to do it right now. Like, yeah, in an honest moment, they'll say yes. Derrick White doing everything. Like I said, Holiday, not bad, right? 25 minutes, 50% overall, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Nice night for him. Al Horford didn't do much except make me look bad. We did a podcast with Al Horford, and I wrote a big story on Boston Sports Journal about Al Horford. And Al, you know, the whole thing about him being super aggressive, ultra aggressive, buying into Mazzulla ball. He's taking nothing but threes now. First half, 3 possessions, post-ups. Right away, second possession of the game, I think it was, post-up for Al. What? Al's posting up? Few plays later, post-up for Al. What? What's going on here? I thought that was funny. Kristaps Porzingis. Nice night. Didn't shoot where he wants to shoot, right? 8 of 18, 2 of 7 from 3. Said after the game, I'd like to get my percentages up. But 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, plus 23. Punishing Detroit with post-ups like he is want to do. They're not a big team. And he, aside from getting blocked by Isaiah Stewart right away in the first dunk attempt of the game, other than that, he was very good in attacking, getting those mismatches, getting the deep seal, getting 2 feet in the paint, catching, turning, drawing a foul, getting an easy bucket in the paint. So, like I said, 2 of 7 from 3, but 6 of 11 overall from 2. So a decent night for him. I thought overall, I think Porzingis looks good. He said he needs to get into a rhythm, and a few more games he'll start to feel better about, you know, his game. And so I'm not too worried about that. Who else? Let's just go down the list. Drew Peterson gets some early run, 19 minutes, another nice 19 minutes for him. There was one play early in I want to say second quarter, where they really worked the ball around. And there's, again, unselfish, selfless, ego aside. Peterson is a shooter. He's been told to shoot, but you're also supposed to make the right play. He gets the ball in the right corner. The ball's moving, right? Drive, kick, swing, drive, kick. That second kick goes out to Peterson in the right corner. Aggressive closeout. A little fake, drive, dump off. I think it was to Luke Kornett. Easy two. Beautiful. That was one of 2 assists for him. Just got to keep, they are as plug and play as you're going to find this Celtics team, because they don't really run plays. They just make reads. They have sets where guys are supposed to go a certain way, but once the guys are set up and that first pick is set, it's all about reads. And if this guy makes this read, then that guy makes a different read. And it's all interchanged. And they all have to be on the same page, and they all have to see the same thing. It's incredibly difficult. They make it look easy, but blowing out a professional team, like, even though Detroit is bad, and I know they're bad, getting a 30-point lead on a professional basketball team is difficult. You got to do a lot of things right. You got to get a little lucky. Pistons shot like crap. Celtics shot incredibly after a slow start. But you have to hammer those details over and over again. You got to know what everybody's doing. You got to understand the reads everybody's making. You got to understand where your floor spacing is, understand where your advantages are. What are you supposed to do? The commitment to the finer details over and over and over and over again is how you get a 30-point win. That's why these are especially impressive, because the Celtics could probably mess around and win by 15. But this one, they just pedal to the metal, win, 30-point lead. Then it got down to, they cut it to 24 at the end of the fourth quarter when the game was no longer in doubt. And Ron Holland padded his stats. I say that. I mean, what's he going to do? He's playing basketball. So anyway, Celtics win pretty easily. Fun game. So this is the Friday show. I get to take a couple days off. No show Saturday, not recording Friday or Saturday. They play Sunday. I will be back after the game Sunday against the Wizards with a new podcast for you. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Watch that show on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Share your feelings in there. There are plenty of Celtics fans in there that think like you, or maybe they disagree with you, whatever it is. Get in there. Share your thoughts with one another. It's actually a really good place for Celtics fans to be. I encourage you to go in there and talk and share your thoughts. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.